Good morning everybody, today I'll present you One Piece's biggest fraud, anime's most insecure villain, and the world's shittiest leader. I'm of course talking about Imu and why he is in and out of universe, a trash antagonist and a wimp. But first we have to talk about the Holy Knights. The Holy Knights are the private guard of Marijois, and are supposedly one of the strongest group in the world government. The problem is they quickly reveal themselves to be the most disappointing group. But to know why, we have to go back at least half a year ago to chapter 1159 at the start of God Valley. Back then, Gunko, Shamrock, Summers and Killingham had just dropped on Elbaf as representatives of the Holy Knights, and they looked pretty imposing. They made quick work of the Straw Hats and were feared. As for Garling, he was portrayed as a pretty powerful antagonist and even as someone able to contend with rocks. The very next chapter, we see the Holy Knights in full, back as they were on God Valley, and they were imposing. Their car designs were very good, they looked dope, they looked powerful, and really you can say maybe that was the peak of the Holy Knights agenda, because it's very much all downhill from there. The very next chapters, Summers, one of the worst people to ever appear in the One Piece manga, somebody that laughs of the torture of children, of the death of people, of the violence against women, got one shot by Rayleigh. He got beaten so bad he did not even come back until the end of the battle. And the very next chapter isn't good either, because it is the infamous chapter 1162, the chapter where Garling cemented himself as an undying fraud. Because Rox accomplished the feat that we didn't even think was possible before he did it. He got beaten not once, but twice off screen with his team while Rox was handicapped in a single chapter. He didn't even have a chance. Rox wasn't even harmed during the battle. And let's talk about that champion of God Valley title he got. Title he got after killing one HP Rox, after Rox fought against both Garp and Roger at the same time. What a goat. You know the title is fraudulent when even the wiki puts it in quotations. And you know, you'd think he got better after the defeat. You think that maybe he improved, maybe he learned how to really control Haki, but no, not at all. He got even worse. He let Marijois get invited not once, not twice, but thrice while he was in charge as Supreme Commander of the God Knights at Marijois. And you know where he went right afterwards? That's right, he joined the So much to say about the Five Elders. You know, when they were first introduced, you wouldn't have been egregious to say that they were Yonko or Admiral level. There were only 5 of them, they had special devil fruits, they lived for centuries and were the closest to him. They supposedly knew every secret of this world, so it would have been logical to think that they were some of the most powerful people One Piece had to offer. And then came Egghead, where the world government went on the offensive to kill Vegapunk, and afterwards to stop the broadcasting of his message. There was tension, there was a lot of really powerful powers at play. Saturn's introduction was good, and there was even talk that one of the Straw Hats might die during Egghead. That's how serious it was. But this feeling did not last long, because it was clear by the end of the arc that they were all frauds. Saint Jupiter got deep-throated by Luffy, got cut by the Giants, and served as much purpose as a vacuum cleaner during the entirety of the arc. Saint Nosjuro got kicked in the chin by Sanji, got easily stopped by Zoro, and did nothing during Egghead, aside from just aura farming on a few pacifistas. After that is Top Man. Sorry. Saint Warcury Top Man. There's nothing I need to add, everything is in the name. He's called Top Man for a reason. Then we have Saint Mars, who did pretty much nothing at all. He flew around a bunch, met up with CP0, set the giant ship on fire for no really any consequences, and got sent home early before the others. Oh, and then there's Saint Saturn. So let's get into it. He let Kuma escape as a child. He let Genie escape Marie-Joie despite the fact that Marie-Joie is atop the red line and that the South Blue, where Kuma was located, was miles away from the red line. He tried to make random Marines execute Bonnie despite the fact that the same Marine would die if they looked into his eyes, which is just bad planning, especially considering the fact that there were no cameras to record the event anyway. He does not care for casualties in his own team, which is stupid considering the fact that he is a god of science, so you'd think he'd have a bit more tactical awareness. He let Kuma, Bonnie, Luffy, Dory, Broggy, Nami, Brook, and even Usopp hit him without defending himself in any way, which is once again just bad tactical awareness. He took damn near half an hour to find a fucking snail in Egghead, which slowed down the entire operation and single-handedly made Vegapunk succeed in broadcasting his message. He couldn't even kill a snoring Robin protected by the weakest trio. He allowed Bonnie to awaken into Nika, which will cause problem to the world government later on. And most importantly, 200 years in the past, right after Emeth supposedly attacked Marie-Joie and got deactivated, Saturn was tasked with destroying it. And he refused. Not only did he refuse, he did not supervise what the scientists were doing with Emeth. He did not even search what was inside of Emeth, otherwise he would have found Joy Boy's Hakinot. He did nothing, and he didn't even tell Imu about it. He kept it secret, which is why the Straw Hats were able to escape Egghead. If that didn't happen, the world government would have been able to kill Luffy and Bonnie and Kuma and every single one of the Straw Hats, actually. As a French writer François Rabelais wrote in his book Pantagruel, science sans conscience n'est que ruine de l'âme. Science without consciousness is but ruin of the soul. I'm just thankful Saturn got disposed of by Imu because he was actively a liability. Not that Imu needed really any kind of liability to fumble every single one of his plans. And so we finally come back around to Imu. And Imu is one of the strangest characters in One Piece. We do not know their appearance, we do not know their goal, their motivations. We aren't even sure of their gender, to be honest. But for me, all this mystery about Imu is really submerged by the fact that we do not want or need to learn about the specificities of Imu because they do not serve a purpose in the story and they are not threatening as a villain compared to somebody like Blackbeard, for example. But for me, Imu is the prime example of a problem that's showed by the whole institution of the world government. The problem that they are not threatening, intimidating, and interesting, and so for three particular reasons. The first problem, and most embarrassingly of all, they are pitifully weak. Sabo is managed to escape the throne room almost unarmed, which is just absolutely nasty. Can you even imagine Zoro entering Onigashima while Big Mom and Kaido were there and escaping unarmed? Like, so simply? Or can you imagine somebody like Venogger or Katarina Devon just going on the Thousand Sunny, stealing something and going back? it's lunacy, and it just showed that even while the Gorosei and Imu are there, the throne room is just apparently accessible. Rox managed to go all the way into the flower room, where Imu sits. And then there's chapter 1173, where Brook, with a simple wooden shield, managed to block Imu. And not just regular Imu and their basic attacks, bloodlusted Imu with a wooden shield. Are we supposed to be threatened by them? And you might think, why haven't they lost if they're so weak? It's because they are regen merchants. Every battle they're in, there are at least a moment where they are sliced, where they are blown against a wall. Every single God's Knight, every Gorosei, even Imu himself has been cut, has been sliced, and had they not had the capacity to regenerate, they would have died. They would have died already, many times even. And the problem is, without this regeneration, they are weak. They are insanely weak. The Gorosei is getting toyed by Luffy whilst he's fighting Kizaru. It's insanity. They are insanely weak and not threatening because of it. And the second problem is that the rest of the One Piece world is just insanely strong. Luffy is almost a reality bender. Sanji will most definitely harness the just pure power of Flame and I think gain Conqueror's Haki. Zoro already has Conqueror's Haki and is moving like a DBZ character. And at the time I'm recording, chapter 1175 just dropped, and Loki could just swallow Kaido in a single gulp. Do we think that they could seriously lose against any of the Gorosei, God's Knight, or even Himu himself? It's impossible. The second they learn how to damage, how to bypass this regeneration, the Holy Knights are done. Imu is done and the Gorosei serve zero purpose beyond that. And it's just pitiful. Are we... The only way the Gorosei could be threatening is if they are put against people like Nami, people like Usopp, etc. And at this point, like, what purpose do they even serve? Are they really supposed to be powerful? And if they're not supposed to be powerful, then why have they been shown that way the whole time? If the ones atop the One Piece world are so weak, then I would have expected it to be toppled by now. And finally, Oda narratively does not help the world government. You can see it with Gunko's design. I still don't know why she doesn't put on pants whilst it's snowing all around her. It's just lunacy, and she does not appear to be any kind of danger to the Straw Hats in such an outfit. There's been multiple break-ins in Marijois. Fisher Tiger climbed the Red Line and managed to free slaves by himself. Like, you would think there'd be security or something on the Red Line, but nothing. He just got in, freed some slave and left. And then we don't even know the goal of Imu. And I know that's gonna be clearer in the future, but for now, he just does not sit right with me and sit right with anybody, I think. Which is why a lot of people consider Blackbeard to be the final villains, because Imu has done nothing to appear to be interesting. I've always been Imu stan. I've always liked Imu. I always thought that Imu might be interesting in the future, but the problem is the more it goes on, the less I'm interested, because the less Imu seems to be like an antagonist, and the more Imu seems to be a plot device to drive things into the end game of One Piece, and that's really a shame. That's really something that I dislike. That's really something that I feel like is wasted potential, because Imu's design, Imu's ideas, and what Imu represents could have been interesting, could have been really something that could have been explored by Oda, but since we do not know anything about Imu, since Imu has never won really any fight, since Imu has always failed, then there's just nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of, so there's nothing to be interested about in Imu. Nevertheless, the only thing I hope is that we see more of Imu in the future, because I still think it's gonna be the final antagonist. I don't know about Blackbeard. I think it could be interesting as a final antagonist, but Imu's been set up in such a way that I think he would make more sense as a final antagonist. I don't know. But I just hope we see more of Imu in the future, that Oda gives us more things to be interested about in the future. Perhaps if Imu fights Loki and puts up a good fight against Loki, my opinion on Imu could change if they show us that they are powerful. Until then, I'm left disappointed. But that's only my opinion. Of course, you can argue with me in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!